Shalom. I truly apologize for my absence these past few months. As I mentioned in the last teaching posted and at the advice of my rabbi, I have been focusing more intently on my conversion. And for those that don't know, I am in the process of converting to Judaism. I've been itching to get back to releasing Torah teachings, but will continue to hold off until I finish the conversion process. The reason I'm releasing this short video is because I feel it worthwhile to share more with you regarding my conversion. I feel this video is so long overdue, but then again, I think I'm also at a key point in the conversion process that it can provide some sound reflection on the journey thus far and details of what is to come. In general, I've encountered two groups of responses and questions when people hear that I am converting. The first group is made up of Christians who will ask me, usually in a state of shock, how I could give up or deny Jesus. The second group is made up of observant Jews who show awe that I would want to take on the seemingly onerous obligation to live in a Jewish life. And the questions tend to come from an enthusiastic desire to learn what led me to the decision. In answer to both questions, there was no climactic moment that defined the shift in my direction towards Judaism. It was gradual, but was prompted throughout by a deep yearning within my soul for something intrinsic that I was lacking. These prompts precursored and coincided with key moments and decisions, whether it be frustrations with the church establishment or leaving the church to study on my own in search of answers to questions I couldn't find answers to from within Christianity, or learning biblical Hebrew, or visiting Israel, or learning Torah through rabbinic sources, or expanding my library to include all of the rabbinic literature on all topics from halakha to midrash to musar to chassidut to Kabbalah, and then ultimately to choosing a competent and knowledgeable rabbi to learn from. It's a process that has taken me a few years, but really intensified over the last year in particular. I recently came across a video that sums up the process of conversion very eloquently and is one that I can relate to very strongly, and I'll post the link on the video. The late Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, may his memory be a blessing, responded to the letter of one of his shliachs, Rabbi Label Wolf, who was encountering many non-Jewish students who were curious about Judaism and wished to convert. Hence, Rabbi Wolf was seeking advice from the Rebbe. And I'll read it word for word what his response was here. And like I said, I'll post the video as well so you can see the full video. The Rebbe said in his response, if a student should approach you for conversion, since you are a chaplain and you have colleague chaplains, first ask the student to meet with their respective chaplain of the pathway in which they were raised or had some connection to, so they could investigate better and know better what it is that they had come from. Should that student continue nevertheless, and after meeting with your colleague chaplain, come back and say to you, I still want to be Jewish, then make sure that student is placed in the hands of somebody who can teach them in an authentic way. And there should be a period of learning, each time pointing out the difficulties of becoming a Jew, the difficulties of changing the way they eat, changing the way they behave on Shabbat, all the difficulties that that change of lifestyle would entail, so that they are fully conversant with what they are getting into. At that point, many a student will decide that it's not for them. Should the student continue, then make sure they're in the hands of a competent rabbinic authority who would be able then to move them to a position where they might approach the conversion. And then after the conversion, you should recognize that what has taken place is not a conversion, that there is no such thing as a conversion. The word conversion suggests a change, that there is no change that has taken place in this individual. Therefore, when a conversion takes place according to Jewish law, you should know that this was a soul that was always Jewish. Nothing got converted, nothing got changed. For reasons best known to Hashem, this soul was sent down into this particular set of circumstances of a non Jewish mother, and this is the mission and the test of this soul. And because there is the Jewish spark within that soul, and it seeks to be Jewish, after the conversion is our recognition that this always was a Jewish soul. That's why in Jewish law we're exhorted to give honor to a convert much more so than an individual who is naturally born Jewish, because this is a soul that's gone through a much more severe test and passed that test. The Rebbe went on to say the student should be placed in the hands of an Orthodox rabbi, because only if the conversion is done according to Jewish law would we ever know that that soul is in fact a Jewish soul. That's the only external mechanism we mortal human beings have to be able to understand something which is spiritual in nature, whether the soul is a Jewish soul. And if the conversion is not kosher, we could never know. And this perfectly sums up my journey to date. So far, the journey has been anything but easy, I have to say. But at the same time, it has never been forced or felt unnatural, regardless of the seemingly laborious task of learning to live life as a Jew. Before officiating the conversion process, I had already been digging deeper into Judaism. I had a voracious hunger for learning all that I could, satiating my soul's yearning to reconnect to its source code. As I mentioned earlier, I started with Torah commentaries by the sages. Then I started studying Halakha, which is the codified Jewish law. I used Shulchan Aruch, and then turned to sources in the Mishnah, and the Talmud. I also started studying Midrashim, which are the expository writings, and then Musar and Chassidut, which are the writings on moral conduct, instruction, and discipline in living a righteous life. And then I also started getting into Kabbalah, which is the mystical interpretations of the Torah. The more I read and the more I studied, the more and more I became captivated, and the more I received the answers to all of the unanswered questions, and the more my soul felt nourished and at home. I began living like a Jew, which was eating kosher, separating meat and dairy, keeping the laws of Shabbat, observing high holidays, praying the daily Shacharit, Mincha, and Ma'ariv prayers, as well as the usual daily blessings, including the blessings before and after meals, wearing tzitzit, and the list goes on. It really is so difficult to express, to put into words how driven and passionate I have become and I am about becoming a Jew. When people ask me what led me to this point, all I can say is that I felt a yearning deep in my soul that has grown stronger and stronger with each passing day. Around a year ago, I connected with and chose an Orthodox rabbi to guide me through the conversion process. Over the past year, I've attended shul every Shabbat and multiple times throughout the week for teachings and to pray with a minyan. Several months ago, my rabbi endorsed me to the Beit Din, which is the Jewish court here in Toronto, and I had my first meeting. And I came out of that meeting with three important tasks before I can proceed further with the Beit Din. The first was I need to move into a thriving Jewish community. And Baruch Hashem, as of today, December 1st, I have moved into a flat that is within walking distance to my shul. The second thing they said is I need to walk to shul on Shabbat. And Baruch Hashem, this has been accomplished, and now I'm able to walk to shul. And the third thing that they said is I need to keep a kosher kitchen. And as I moved into my new flat, I am now able to keep a completely kosher kitchen. So my next major milestone is to meet with the Beit Din again. And bezrat Hashem, God willing, I will hopefully finish the conversion process shortly thereafter. As I'm trying to keep this video short and sweet, I will end it here. I know I've skipped over a lot of details, but sometimes too much is unnecessary. My only intent is to update you on my journey thus far. I encourage you, if you share any of the experiences that I've expressed, don't be comfortable with the status quo or with complacency. Don't be content with dogma and doctrine. Ask questions. Ask more questions. Learn about Judaism. Investigate and research the answers. Dig as deep as you can and exhaust every avenue. And might I add, in my opinion, learning biblical Hebrew is an essential to digging deeper and really gaining a greater understanding of Hebrew scriptures. If you learn any of the deeper levels within Judaism, like Chassidut or Kabbalah, I advise to do so with a competent rabbi that is learned in these subject matters. And if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to contact me by email. If your questions are of a religious or theological nature, I encourage you, if you haven't already, to check out the plethora of online teachings by two particular rabbis. They are Rabbi Tovia Singer of Outreach Judaism and Rabbi Michael Skobach of Jews for Judaism. Both are excellent sources of answers to questions about Judaism. Until next time, I bid you shalom.